Everyone knows that we're recording. So good evening. It's April 25th, NFL Draft Day here in Detroit, Michigan. So if we get a report out from someone along the way about who's drafting what and where they're at, we'll report out. I don't know if there's anybody here that's waiting for some specific player or along the way, but big event for the city of Detroit. I've a lot of friends I know are down there as well, so it looks like a exciting weekend ahead. But we're excited tonight because we have Mike Downs with us. Mike is here to talk to us about the Kiwanis International Convention in Denver in July, the first week of July. And he's open to, we'll let him give a review of what's going on. And then if he's got questions, you're welcome to do that. I will post this on the YouTube site when we get done this evening, which is where all the recordings are now at, is on the Voices of Service with Sue P YouTube site. So everything's there. I keep loading up stuff there, and I've actually written a couple of other podcasts that I just gotta find a few minutes to podcast and to put them out there. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike.
Thank you, Sue. I always enjoy coming to spend time with you and all the others, and looking forward to the Kiwanis Convention this summer in Denver. And I saw, before I popped up there, I saw that Angelo was online, so I want to make sure that I say Circle K is with us as well. So it's a joint convention of Kiwanis and Circle K. We're gonna, one of the things that was important to Paul Palazzolo, our new executive director, that we work to bring the two together. Since we're gonna be in the same spot, so we're gonna share a lot of space. We're gonna share a lot of knowledge and share some sessions. Denver it's a historical convention. One of the questions I get asked often is, why is it over the 4th of July? Well, when it came time to book this convention, two things happened. One, Burt West, immediate past president, was chair of the committee, and he was determined that we were going to Denver. And number two, the reason being, it is the 100th anniversary of the objects. So the objects of Kiwanis, which have stood true for 100 years, were adopted in 1924 in Denver, Colorado, and we have been back every 25 years. So I joke with the friends in Denver that we should go ahead and plan for the 2049 convention for the 125th anniversary. I won't be there, but someone will be to celebrate. I mean, when you're there, it's really kind of cool because the building, which was their convention center, still exists. It sits right next door to the convention center. It's now their opera house and somewhere they do some Broadway shows, but it's a very iconic building that was built, I believe, in 1918 for the Democratic National Convention, and then it became their convention center. So it's kind of cool to be able to see that and see that building still standing there in Denver, next door to the current convention center. So if you get a chance, you should walk over and take some photos and walk around a bit. But Denver's going to be fun. It is, again, over the 4th of July, which some people have a little issue with. But when it came time for Colorado, that was the only week they had available. So they didn't have our normal week available, and it was important for the board to go there for the 100th anniversary. So hence we go there. Just to let you know a little bit about what to expect in Denver, all of the information is on kiwanis.org/convention. If you haven't been there, the comms department does a really good job with putting everything up there, and it's pretty darn self-explanatory. We are running on a theme of explore the possibilities. So there's a lot of outdoorsy type things. There's a lot of almost like wilderness type activities. You'll be able to get some, I call them almost like Boy Scout badges, or badges, I guess, boys or girls, that you're going to collect as you go through some of the hall. So it's going to be a little fun we're going to have as we go through there. As of last Friday, we had about 1,200 people registered, which is good for this time of year. I get reports every Friday. So we'll see how we end up when we get closer. The registration goes up after May 31. So if you haven't registered, you have a little more time to still get in at the normal price. After that, it goes up $100 US, and then it'll go up again before we get there. So don't pay more, although I don't mind taking more money, but just get in time. I also want to encourage you to look at your hotel rooms and your hotel spots. Hotel spots are filling up. You don't have to have registered for the convention to go ahead and book your hotel. If you're one of the districts who is to be housed at Embassy Suites and you haven't booked your hotel, you're not going to be housed at the Embassy Suite. So that block did sell out. We have a few dates left, but it's really just available on like the 4th and the 5th of July, which doesn't really help us. So having a little conversation with the hotel, but that block has sold out. But there are 5, 6 other hotels you can pick from. You want to walk across the street to the Hyatt. I'm really excited about the Hyatt there. They have 1,000 hotel rooms. 900 of them have Kiwanians in them. So that almost that entire hotel will just be made up of your Kiwanis friends, which is good and or bad. The good is it's made of your Kiwanis friends. The bad is there's a lot of you, and we all tend to move at the same time. So be patient on elevators, be patient in the bar and in the restaurants. But it'll be exciting, and that Hyatt is a beautiful property. All the properties are beautiful, no matter where you stay. I was laughing because our rates, I always check what the hotel rates are going for. So now that our rate at the Embassy Suite, I think was like $189. So if you want one now, because they have rooms, we've just sold out our block. They're going between $380 and $450 a night. So we really have, I don't know who's paying that, but some people are. We had really good rates, and that's one of the things that's always promised to us is that you can't find our rate at that hotel cheaper. And if you can, I need you to tell me, because a hotel either has to give everyone that rate or take that rate away. So it's always a good thing to know if something is happening there. So as we go through the convention, if anyone here is taking the Amplify course, that capstone will be with Lindsay Carrick on Wednesday during the day. Wednesday is really the starting day, and that's July 3rd. And we will have a reception in the exhibit hall, which we lovingly call the marketplace. Give you time to walk around, to look at the different exhibitors, to look at some Kiwanis projects. There's some really cool things happening in the exhibit hall, some activation things from our Rocky Mountain friends. On Thursday, we start the 4th of July. We start Thursday morning with Chris Singleton in our opening session. And Chris, I hope it's Singleton. It could be Singletary. Chris, we'll just call him Chris. Chris's mother, unfortunately, was one of the ones that was killed in the church shootings in the Carolinas, Charleston. And so he talks a lot about how that affected his life with his mother being murdered or shot. She was murdered. And how he had to make some life choices as to how he was going to live his life, and has just a great story that's going to share with everyone. We have lots of really good education throughout that day. And then that night, if you're one of the first 1,000 people to register for the event, you got a free baseball ticket to go watch the Colorado Rockies and see the fireworks. You're going to go, Mike, how do I know if I was one of the first 1,000? Well, 2 things. One, you should have gotten an email last week from our comms department with just some overview and some explanation. Number 2, if you didn't, you can send me an email and I can tell you. Really, April 5th is the date. If you didn't register before April 5th, you weren't part of the first 1,000. So that was sort of, when I look at the listing, we hit right in the middle of the 5th, and we'll probably just do the rest of the 5th to get those. Chris, thank you, Chris Singleton, to get those out to you. But you will get that. I'm going to tell you something else. It's going to be a surprise when you get your ticket. If you're one of the first 1,000, you're also going to get a $10, I don't know what they call their Colorado Rocky bucks, but you get $10. That'll probably buy you like a beer or a hot dog at the stadium. Not a lot, but it's a great stadium. President Katrina and I went out there on one of our visits. It's beautiful. The fireworks, we've got you set up for some of the best viewing of the fireworks there. If you didn't get that, one of the things that's going to be coming up in the near future, is the Rapids, which is their Major League Soccer team, is also playing that night. And they supposedly have an outstanding firework display at the end of their match. They're about 15 minutes away from downtown, so you'd have to figure out how to get there. But it is another option you'll have if you want to do sports. You can just go out and enjoy the city, however you wish to enjoy Denver. On the 5th, we will, back on the 4th, 2 things happen on the 4th. There is the Signature Project breakfast if you buy that ticket. So that'll be on the morning of the 4th. And then lunch is served to everyone that registered on Thursday and Friday as part of your registration. So you'll get lunch on Thursday in the exhibit hall. You'll get lunch on Friday in the exhibit hall. Friday, we have more education. We have our Launchpad speakers. We have some really cool Launchpad speakers. Just a couple. Ray Sandoval, who is from the Kiwanis Club of Santa Fe. If you don't know about the zozobra, the burning that they do of zozobra and make a rather large amount of money for their projects and their charities, he will be there to talk to you a little bit about that. We're also going to have a little bit of, in the exhibit hall, not to steal his thunder, we're going to have like a little miniature zozobra. Zozobra is where you sort of write your your grievances and whatever, and you put it in, and they burn this huge effigy of this man, and all your things go away. So we're gonna let you stuff some things in there, and Ray's gonna take that back and burn it with the other one when it comes time. So you'll have your opportunity to participate with them in that activity. We also have I can't think of his name, but he, and Sue can appreciate this, he's the gentleman who is the mascot for the Indianapolis Colts. We call him Blue. He has a real name, but he will be with us to talk to a little bit about how he turned that in. He was whatever Auburn the Tiger turned it into like a profession, and Sue with Sparty knows that those men and women that do that can really trademark thing. Kathy Tutty, stay with me, Kathy. Stay with me. I'm just going to see what she can do. Yeah, you can see. Sue can tell you that can be very lucrative.
Yes.
For the young people. So he started out in college, and now he does it for the Colts and travels worldwide and does a lot of really neat things. So I'm excited about him. I kind of want to see if I can say something else, because Kathy keeps feeding the answers. If I can give her something she can't answer, that'll be awesome. Friday evening, or Friday about 4, we have Diana Nyad. Most of you know who Diana is. She'll be our speaker that evening to talk a little bit about, perseverance and overcoming. And if you haven't watched the Netflix documentary or movie, it's not a documentary because it's not her, but it's about her. Go watch it. It's great. I have to keep reminding Paul that Annette Bening is not coming. That's who plays Diana Nyad in the movie. Diana Nyad, it was Annette Bening, and then Jodie Foster played Bonnie, who is her training partner, her coach. Both got really good award nominations throughout all of the cycles of all the awards. So it was a good movie. And then Friday, I'll back up. Friday at lunch, if you want to upgrade your ticket, you can go to the SLP luncheon, right? So what does that mean is you've already paid for lunch in your registration. But if you want to pay a little bit more, you can go have a little bit nicer lunch and be with our SLP friends there and the programs that they're creating for you over the lunch hour. And then when we move on to Saturday, we will have in the morning, the Children's Fund will have a breakfast, and they're going to tell you a little bit about some of the new work that they're doing. And then we're going to push you all in, all of you who are delegates, into the House of Delegates. And good news, friends, you're going to stay there till you're done. We're not going to break for lunch. Well, I guess technically someone can make a motion, but please don't. We're not going to break for lunch. You're going to stay there till you're done. And then that evening, if you buy a ticket to the gala, we're going to have Your Generation in concert, which we've had numerous times. They're a Detroit-based band, and they are outstanding. And they play all different generations. We had them in Toronto. We had them in Detroit, when we had the 100th anniversary party. That's where we first had them. And then we had them in Indianapolis for the 100th anniversary as well. So they're going to come and join us. They sing all the decades. Katrina has asked that you come dressed from your favorite decade. So if you want to dress up, if you're a costume person, she wants you to pick your favorite decade and come dressed as that. And at some point during that evening, that music will play. And then, we'll wrap up and you'll all go home and we'll all rest. Some of you, Kathy Tutty, will have to head straight to Atlanta. Greg Smith. Some of you, not Greg, some of you will I always put Greg as a Key Club administrator. That's me dating myself. We'll go and do Key Club convention that starts in Atlanta the next week, which is a great time for those young men and women to have their event. Circle K will have their own opening. They'll share all of our sessions, but they will have their own opening and their own closing with just Circle K. That'll happen again within the convention center in the ballroom, which you're more than welcome to come and go to as well. So you can cross back and forth. They will stay at the Hilton Hotel, which is the farthest one away. It's probably a 10-minute walk, but it's not that far for them. We encourage districts to have dinners. If your district is going to have a dinner, we encourage you to do it on Friday evening. That's an open night. So that's when we encourage the districts to get together. That'll be July 5th. We'll have some other activities throughout the evening portions for some of the leadership. There's a lot of important things. If you did not watch today, I see Hope, I saw Gary. I think Hope, Gary, and Dan were sort of the lunch with the leader today. If you did not watch their discussion about the dues increase, I encourage you to go back. It's on our Facebook page. You can go back and click and watch them discuss that with you as well. Again, the prices are going to go up on May 31st, and we want you to register early. And just because people often ask, where do we go after this? Well, Tiffany's here. Tiffany knows we in 2025 go to the great state of Pennsylvania, and we will be in Pittsburgh. Sarah's there. Sarah's like, yeah, yes. So excited about that. And I will tell you, our friends in Pennsylvania have already started working and getting on it. They're going to have some cool stuff. And I'll tell you what they're going to have for you in Denver, and then some other really cool stuff when we get to Pittsburgh. After Pittsburgh in 2026, we will finally, after a postponement of 4 years, venture to Manila in the Philippines. So we will have that. That was going to be our 2022 convention. It got slid to the end. And then in 2027, we will come back to the great state of Texas, and we'll go to Dallas. We'll be at the Anatole Hotel. That'll be a different thing for us, because we will all be under one roof. So we can all stay at the Anatole in Dallas, which, with the exception of Vegas, is really the first time we'll be under a single roof as a group. So I'm interested to see how that works out for all of us. It's going to be fun. That's 27, I believe I said. And 2028, we are finalizing. The Kiwanis board approved at their last meeting, Las Vegas, if we can come to terms with Las Vegas. And I think we can, but we're still working through that. And that'll be another time that we'll be under one roof at Harrah's Hotel in Las Vegas, and using Caesar's Forum as a place to meet. And Harrah's has had a big renovation and have done a really good job. I was out there about a week or so ago and stopped in while I was there just to run through the property and see what it was. So we're excited. We have some really neat things coming forward for you. The board has worked, Kiwanis board has worked hard to keep us on the straight and narrow, and trying to bring more value to you and bring more excitement. And we're still working through ways to do some activation, because we realize that one of the main reasons, besides the business of the organization, is we all come together. We like fellowship, and how do we make sure that we have those opportunities for you to spend with each other and learn from each other and just have fun. Denver itself is a great place. If anybody says, often I need a scooter. Well, it's under the accessibility tab on the website if you go there. And if anyone else needs something else for accessibility, we have accessibility@kiwanis.org. You can send your email there and say, hey, you know what, I need fill in the blank, and we'll see how we can do to make that accessible to you. And that was another important part, to make sure that we are being mindful of people of all abilities to participate. We're in a gorgeous concert hall. It's not the easiest thing if you're in a scooter, because there are lots of steps, but we'll get you to where you need to be to get onto the floor. If you remember last year in Minneapolis, it was slanted, but you could sort of, if you were in a scooter, you could go down there. These are steps. It's the Belco Theater, where they do a lot of their concerts and Broadway shows as well. And it's a gorgeous place. It's just got to figure out how to make it a little more accessible for all of our members who have some issues there. But we're going to work on it. We're going to get you to where you need to be. And we want you all to come and have a good time. What kind of questions, Sue? What kind of questions do we have today?
So one of the first questions that I got was, is there transportation from the hotels to the convention center?
The answer to that is no. So everything is within probably 2 blocks if you stay in one of our hotels, with the exception of our friends at Circle K. And there are a few blocks extra. If you have some issues, I'd encourage you to think about getting a scooter. Again, that's on the accessibility tab. They will drop it off at your hotel. They will pick it up at your hotel. We don't have any, I'm going to go ahead and say this, we don't have any deal with this provider, right? So the center gives me a name of a provider. We put the link. And so it's your business with them. I don't have any control over the prices we get. We don't get anything out of the prices. It's all very much just a service that this is who they recommend. Now, you can always go online and try to find your own. Nothing says that you can't find your own, but there is one there for you. Good question. Nothing is connected either. You know, if you're used to Minneapolis, even in Indianapolis, we were all connected with sky bridges. There are none. I will also tell you, and we'll tell everyone else, be mindful when you walk out, because there are trains that come right from that convention center, and there really aren't any arms or anywhere to make you step back until the train swoops right by you. So makes me a little nervous about people not paying attention, but pay attention. They'll blow the horn at you, but there you go. Sue.
How do you recommend people get from the the airport for those of us that are flying to the hotel?
So the airport, if you've been to Denver or not been to Denver, did you know that Denver is the 6th busiest airport in the world? It is ahead of LAX, which to me was shocking. That was a recent survey or not survey, recent data that was released in the last week or so. It's number 6. So the airport is not conveniently located at downtown. There are multiple options. You can do Uber and Lyft. I will tell you, depending on the day, Uber can cost you $75, and that's just a generic Uber. So I encourage you, if you come in and there are others on your flight and you're going to do that, try to group up and go together. There is a train that's about $10 that will take you from the airport to Union Station downtown. That still puts you about 10 minutes away from your hotels, but your Uber ride would be a lot cheaper once you got downtown. So those are your options. I'll take Uber. Jeff Otis, my boss, says he's taking the train. I'm like, I support you, but I'm taking an Uber. And just go that way. So it's not the most convenient. I would, going out from Denver, give yourself extra time to get to the airport, get through security. It is a little bit of a stretched walk in Denver. So just give yourself plenty of time when you're going home. We want to make sure you get home safely. I also want to say that if you haven't, and I don't pretend to be an expert, but we had our staff meeting about convention this week, and our risk manager, Stu, who used to live out there, start drinking a lot of water. The altitude is a serious thing. And I'd encourage you to Google it and just learn a little bit about it, because altitude sickness is real. If you're not used to being at that level, we want you to drink a lot of water. We want you, if you start getting a headache, to stop and make sure that's how it is. Mr. Baugh, he's got his hand up.
Yeah, I was through Denver 2 weeks ago when I was in Cheyenne, and they have actually opened up a brand new TSA pre-check, and they have 17 lanes. And I was in there and downstairs on the train and to my airplane in 10 minutes.
Perfect. There
in
you
the middle
go.
of the afternoon. Middle of the afternoon.
Hope that's good. If you have TSA pre-check, which I do as well. So yeah, I'm with you. Did you have to walk in? It's like all the way around to go down. I mean,
no, it's on the second floor. If you go in the west exit or the west entrance off the transportation, it was right on the west end. It's got good signs. You go up one flight of stair or escalator, and literally you have 17 different stations to go through. Plus they opened up the anybody TSA check, and the line was hardly anything. Now, again, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Still, and that was in the paper the other day too, where they really opened up a lot of check-ins for TSA.
Perfect. Yeah, Greg, I'm with you on that. And Key Club has been out to Atlanta as well. The altitude, once you become ill, it's a little late to be drinking the water, right? And to staying hydrated and some other stuff. And it's for those of us who are not at that altitude on a regular basis, it's just something that's new and different. So you could always Google what to do or what you should be doing for altitude issues. We want to make sure everyone's safe and secure.
Mike,
And
one thing, go ahead.
One thing I'll say about one thing I'll tell you about the altitude. If you're someone who deals with asthma or any kind of a breathing thing, and you have an inhaler that you hardly ever use, bring it with you. My mom used to live here in Butte. The altitude of my house is 6,000 feet. She moved to Helena, which is 60 miles away. The elevation there is 3,500 feet. When she comes back to Butte, she coughs like crazy, unlike what she does when she's in Helena. So it's not it doesn't matter what elevation you're at. The elevation in Denver is roughly a mile above sea level. So if you're not used to that, you're gonna notice it. The other thing that, and I don't know what's around downtown Denver. I was in Breckenridge a couple years ago, and they have oxygen bars where you can actually go in and get an oxygen tank. And somebody I was with had to have one to sleep at night because they weren't getting enough oxygen.
Yeah, and I believe that's also, you can grab, oxygen is listed, I believe, on the accessibility tab as well. Yep. So if that's something you want to talk to your doctor about or want to look into, that's an opportunity as well to get that. We had talked about having oxygen in the hall, and we opted not to. So
let me add to the water. I did get altitude sickness at the Key Club convention, was there, I guess, in 2009. And I'd been there 2 days, and I woke up in the morning with it. So it hits you like that.
Yeah.
It isn't because you're doing active or moving around. I mean, I was sleeping and I woke up with it. So be very careful.
So Mike, one of the questions that came in was any information on transportation to the ball game?
You're going to walk. It's about a 15-minute walk from the convention center. President Katrina and I did it when we were there in November. And she was walking, as she will tell you, and not she was dressed fancy as she always is. Her shoes were not the best for walking, but when we left there, I said, do you want to walk back? And she said, sure, let's see. And walking at a pretty reasonable pace, slow, is about 15 minutes. It's not horrible. You could also walk over. I know that Kathy put in there's a 16th Street Mall bus. You could technically walk up a couple of blocks, get on that, ride to the end, and then walk a little bit more, but it's just as easy to walk. Follow the masses that'll be going that way of everybody else. We will be in the center, convention center, with starting on that weekend with, they call it their Fan Fest. It's their version of Comic-Con. So you're going to see people in costumes. You're going to see lots of interesting things in the center with us, which is a lot of fun. So if you want to dress like a Wookiee, bring your costume and just go stand on the other side of the hall. So.
And Mike, you talked earlier about emails going out. So those that are registered, this kind of information is available as well as on the website.
Correct. The one thing, so everyone in the US, and I know that not everyone on this call is from the US, you will receive your packet. If you register by the May 31st date, you'll receive your packet in the mail, right? With your name badge, your tickets, your credentials. Went back and gave you the fun little delegate ribbons, because that was one of the complaints last year from our delegate people, that they couldn't figure out who a delegate was. So you're all gonna need a lovely ribbon. I don't know what color it is. It's in our office right now. But you'll get all your stuff in the mail. If you don't get it, we can reprint it when you get there. I know we've had a few people call and say, well, I'm going to be traveling for weeks, and so we'll hold it. Everyone outside of the U.S. will pick it up on site when they arrive. So they'll come into Hall F, is where the exhibits and the registration, everything is. As soon as you walk in, there's a big, if you haven't been to Denver, there's a big blue bear staring into the convention center. You can't miss it. Our hall is right up to the right, so there'll be signage, and you won't miss it. But that's where they'll register, and that's where all the excitement will be, I hope.
So as I mentioned at the beginning, we will I'll download this recording, and we'll make sure that it's available to everybody so that people can go back and listen to it again as we get things. And if you have other questions and stuff, we can make sure that we get those questions answered and that information distributed. Many of the districts also will be sending information out for their events and keep you up to date on things that are going on. Kathy?
How will we get our tickets to the game?
Okay, great question. So what's going to happen if you're one of the first 1,000? You're going to get an email from the Rockies. It's actually going to come from a different organization. And in the email you should have gotten, I hope last week, from comms, would tell you they're going to come. The Rockies are going to send the tickets the Monday before. So Monday's the 1st. I can do math. Does that make it the 24th? Whatever that Monday is of June, okay? On that day, it's going to come out. If you haven't been to a baseball game or accepted tickets in the US, there'll be instructions. You have to download the Major League Baseball app, right? Mm-hmm. You have to accept your tickets. And when you do, it just pops into your phone. Mm-hmm. The great thing about them doing it all is if there's an issue, you can call them instead of me. They can also push again. If they'll be able to go back and see that Sue didn't open her tickets, or Sue deleted the email, or Sue didn't do that, and they can push them again. That's the goal. If for some reason you decide I don't want to go, because some people have asked that, what happens if someone wants to give back their tickets? You physically have to email your ticket to the new person. Right. Like I don't have any control over any of these tickets. So you'll push it. We are all together. We have 1,000 seats in the section 300. So we are the upper deck, although it's not really upper, it's above the bottom, right? On the first base side. So that also points you towards the outfield where all the fireworks will be. So it's the best fireworks viewing area of the two sections we had. We're 3 wide across that way, but 1,000 seats. Katrina will be on the field at some point. She is not throwing out the first pitch, but she and some of her governors will be down there to wave, and they'll read a little Kiwanis something that Coms writes.
And tickets nowadays, for almost everything happen that way.
Yeah.
There's an app, and I feel like sometimes I have like 5 apps because of the sport. And the tickets come that way, and it's very easy to send them to someone to their phone number or to send it to their email. And then you actually get a note that says it's been sent, and then you get a note when they've opened it. So it's very, they've done very well with that. The challenge is for some people like me, I like to have those tickets as a paper copy, but those are kind of gone away.
Yeah. So everything's
Nicholas.
coming electronic. And
Got
we'll
a
help people
question.
get through it. Yes, Nicholas.
Yes, I got a question. Having a scooter in there, do I go with the scooter to the ball game, or should I just take a taxi to the ball game?
Either works. I mean, you can ride your scooter into the stadium too. Whatever you think would make you feel most comfortable. They're equipped to have scooters in the park as well, in the
Okay.
baseball stadium.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
a good question.
Good to
And
know.
if someone didn't get tickets, you can still buy tickets.
Right.
You can buy your own tickets and still go and enjoy the game.
And then if someone does need accessibility when they get to the game, typically they go to a ticket counter for guest services and get that straightened out there, correct?
Yep, that's right. And the Rockies are really good there.
Yep.
And you can also, if you get a ticket, probably have that conversation. There'll be some information on how to contact them
Right.
prior to. They want to make sure that you have a good experience as well.
Yeah, they're going to make sure. Yeah, that's pretty standard.
Yeah,
They make sure you get
it's
everything
common.
you need. Yeah.
They'll get you where you need to go.
Greg has a question. Or
Gregory.
hand up, I should
Yeah.
say.
On Thursday and Friday, what time do you expect the sessions to end as far as going to Thursday night activities or Friday night activities?
Okay, so Thursday, by 5, Greg, both nights. Because we currently are scheduled for Diana and Nyad on Friday till 5 o'clock. I do not believe that we will have a World Service Medal recipient. That's what pushed us late last year. So I would say after 5, if 6 o'clock, definitely. But at 5 o'clock Thursday, we only have education because it's the 4th of July and labor costs are outrageous. So we're only doing that in the morning session. The rest is education. So you're probably good. Renee?
Hi, I just wanted to give a kind of like a shout out because the first time I went to Denver, traveling by myself, I wasn't aware of the transportation, how to get to and from. So just for the first times going, I'm telling everybody when you get off the plane, there's a train you have to catch to go get your luggage. I didn't know that. And luckily a couple that were on my plane, I'm kind of following them. And then they told me you got to get on the train to go get your luggage in the other terminal, whatever. So, and then I found out, luckily a couple of our governors was waiting for me. And then the ride from the airport to the hotel was about 45 to an hour. So I think we just need to make our people aware, in all the different clubs that, especially coming home, that you book enough time to get back to the airport, give yourself at least an hour, and then at least an hour to go through security. But I don't know if we can put out somewhere in a blurb that you get off the plane, the luggage isn't right there. You have to take a train to get to the
I'll ask
luggage.
our comms department about that. Yeah, you are correct. You can walk. It's about a 20-minute walk if you miss the sign for the train, but you want to make sure to take the train.
Right.
To the absolutely, because I've done it both ways, and the train's the easiest way. But I will make that note and see if we can't, because we have lots of emails that are going to go out. Just sort of know before you go type facts.
Yeah.
I'll put that in there. That's a great suggestion.
And also try to buddy up because, Uber ride is like $60 for one person one way. So try to buddy up on rides to get to the hotels.
Yes.
I did actually rent a car for the week. It was nowhere near as expensive as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So you're picking me up? Is that what you're saying? So you're
No, I'll
picking me up
probably
at
be in meetings when you're
Oh.
coming in.
Okay. Nice.
But I mean, I did rent one not knowing because I have family coming with me, right?
Yeah.
And I was like knowing that it was $60 each way. I'm
Yeah.
thinking, heck, but at that point I could get a car for a couple of days. And granted, I mean, I know I have to be different places, but it also gives us an opportunity to do other things. So
Yep. Okay. Thanks.
and there will be a Kiwanis greeters, yes. Okay, Nicholas has his hand up, and let's see if I get someone else here.
Tiffany, I
So,
just looked and you definitely were one of the first 1,000, so you're good. I'll double check as to why you didn't get the email though.
I didn't get the email either, but then
You
anyway,
weren't one
I
of the
have a
1,000.
question.
Go ahead.
The parking was very expensive at the hotel, and we tried to park across the street and was still very expensive. Is there like a break for the parking? Because I'm going to be driving with my wife over that way, and we're going to have a 3 weeks vacation on the way. So
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if
two things I would tell you. First of all, I did just look, and yeah, you got a baseball ticket too. You're on that list.
Am I on that list?
I'll look in just a minute, Renee. Hold that thought.
Okay.
But I don't know if any of you have, I always suggest you go to Spot Hero.
Yep.
Spot Hero is an app, but it'll tell you the cheapest parking, because sometimes a business that has parking spaces will let you park in their spaces.
Right.
We go to Chicago for a Cubs game, and Jeff Otis is going to do Spot Hero, and sometimes people are renting out their driveway. Right now,
Right.
You're not going to park in someone's driveway, probably in Denver, but in Chicago, you can park there as well. But I would go there and look, because hotel parking is traditionally expensive. It's usually about $40 to $60 a night.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
And
cheap compared to Chicago. Last time I was in Chicago, it was $90 a night.
I mean,
Whoa.
across the street from the Hyatt, when we were at the governor's conference,
Yeah.
it was $40 just
Yep.
across the street from the Hyatt.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's pretty
Renee,
normal
you're good,
nowadays.
You're good too. You're good
Yay.
too.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome. So, yeah, if anybody else has a question about, was I one of the first 1,000? I didn't get the message, because I asked today, and comms promised me they mailed it last week, but I'm going to double check, since 3 of you here are like, I didn't get anything.
I don't remember getting one either. I got an invitation to another luncheon, but
Because you're fancy. So, okay, I'll double check. Jenny Moreland told me it went last week, but I'll double check just to make sure.
so if everybody gets emails tomorrow in the next couple days, you'll know what happened.
Yeah.
The message is
Herman's got a
coming from
question.
KI.
Herman,
The message is coming from KI.
it would come from
Yes.
KI. It would come from our normal email. The great thing about it is, yeah, because it's 1,000 emails. So yeah, it would. The great thing about it is, when you tell me this, I always love, I can go back and look to see what you did with it, right? So
Right.
I can go back and look and go, look, Tiffany, not only did you get it, you opened it and you deleted it. I mean, those
That's
are
right.
great times when I go back and look, but it's all right. But I will double check. It would have been a generic message from KI. It may have even said from Paul. Usually there's a from, it's one of us. There's
Yeah.
a name. We didn't really send it, but that's how it comes out of the system. But yeah, and I will double check that and make sure that they actually went last week, now that I've told you all that.
Carolyn, did you have a question?
I do. I registered in February for the convention, and I was searching it for my email confirming the hotel. I mean the convention registration, and I was looking also for my hotel confirmation. I'm thinking that in February the hotels had not been designated to districts yet, and I'm curious if I just I'm afraid now I don't have a hotel reservation yet. Do you have a clue about hotels available in February?
So Carolyn, you would have made your own hotel arrangement
Yes.
from based upon one of our hotels, and I'm not sure where Kansas is sleeping, but it's on the hotel and lodging one. You can stay at any of them. So
Yeah.
I guess go back and look to see if you can find
Yeah.
one. If not, double check and
I'll
click on
make a new one if I can't
Yeah.
find and I don't find a hotel confirmation.
Yeah, because I don't get those from the hotel, because you're making them yourself. I make a lot of reservations, but I make them for the board and the past presidents and those
Yeah.
type people. So I don't ever see what goes
And
out.
the hotel will know if I'm already registered
sure
there when I
will.
contact them.
They sure will. They should know that
hope.
you've already registered.
So I did receive an email today. It says make the most of convention, and it's got information on the special events, tickets to special events,
Right.
Dancing Through the Decades. I got that one did come today at 10:30 in the morning, my time.
Yeah.
Um,
But nothing for the baseball.
I'm looking still.
It
so-
would have been about the same thing, but I will double check with her tomorrow, and I'm gonna make myself a note. Now that I've confused you all.
Well, my concern then is if Sue got that email as somebody that's going, I didn't get that email.
No, Sue got an email. Sue may have signed up for convention emails, right? So you have to sign
Yes.
up for certain things. That would have just been a generic email to encourage people to still come on, or if you've registered,
Right.
come in there. These are the special events, because I think there's probably also a register button in there.
Right, there is.
to let you register if you haven't. So
Yeah, I signed up
Got
to
it.
get all the emails because I don't get enough email from Kiwanis International.
I appreciate you opening it though.
Yeah.
Got it at 7:30 this morning,
you go.
Pacific time. 7:30 this morning, I got it.
Those are out there for you. There it is. Joe's holding it up.
Yep, it's right there.
So we want you, but again, most of the stuff, if there's anything to be updated, we're going to push it out. That way, we don't have an app this year. No one's asked that question. We don't have an app.
That was on my list, but okay.
We will do, I believe we collected your information. I believe we will do some text messaging if we need to. We don't plan to have to push anything out, but there is no app there. We just didn't find that people were using it, and the cost associated. We also, friends, you're all going to be there, so this doesn't matter. We also are not going to live stream. Okay, so we will live stream the business session because everyone has the right to watch that. So it will go out on the Kiwanis Facebook page, and it'll just be a stream. Other than that, there is no live streaming, and that really came back to cost as well. That's not cheap to do, and so we had to figure out some things we couldn't afford to do this year, and that was one of the things that sort of had to go away. So no live streaming, if anyone asks you.
Except for the business sessions.
Yeah, except for the business session. We will always live stream the business session to allow members worldwide to watch you all conduct the business of the organization.
Would this cost more money for members to watch the live stream on the business session?
Nope, it's free. It's just on the Facebook page. So it'll be free. No one's going to pay for that. Kiwanis is paying. It's when we're in the big general session room, 98% of what we need to live stream is already there. So it's not that much to plug an extra cable in for one day. So it costs a little bit, but nothing compared to when we tried to live stream education and everything else. And that's just outrageously expensive.
Yes. Yeah.
Good to know, because people have been asking if there's any live stream or not when we toured clubs, and we haven't seen anything but live streaming. But now I'm glad that I found out about this. So we'll tell people to live stream it from here.
I'm just going to make this announcement, and I don't want to steal Gretchen's thunder. I know that Gretchen has a meeting coming up with the candidate. So whether you are a candidate or have a candidate from your district, these are some important things. No stickers, no gum, no food. No stickers for anybody, because stickers end up on floors, right?
Yeah.
And then the other important thing that she's going to tell everyone, all the candidates, and then if you have one or if you are one, if you can't carry it, you can't roll it. Does that make sense? You can't bring a cart in that convention. It's a union property. You can't bring in a dolly and wheel your boxes of materials to your booth. You've got to physically carry it in, or put it in a suitcase and roll it in that way. You can get away with that way, but we need to be smart. We don't need to get fines. And by we, I mean you get fines, because I'm not paying those. But Gretchen will go over that with all of them. I think someday next week they're having a meeting to sort of go through all the rules, and it's just trying to make everyone make sure they understand the rules and what they have to do. And some centers are different than others as it relates to what you can do and what you can't do, and what you can carry and what you can roll on a dolly. So I just want to make sure no one has lots of heavy materials that they can't carry.
I do want to remind you that we've had a couple of these Voices of Service sessions with the candidates.
Awesome.
From March 7th and 14th, 21st, or I should say February. Those sessions are available on the Voices of Service YouTube page, Voices of Service with Supi YouTube page. All those are there. And they're also set up so that you can listen to them in a podcast if you wish to do that. So the trustee candidates, the vice president candidates, the other thing that is out there is on April 4th, we had a session on the amendments to the bylaws. We kind of went through them, not in any full detail, but I will tell you that on May 23rd, Paul Palazzolo and Diana O'Brien will be with us that evening at 8 o'clock, the same time, to talk about the amendments and to go through some of that what's there and how that will work in the House of Delegates, just to give people understanding of how, because those amendments are set up in a way, right? And you have to pass one, and what happens at the first one impact, whether it passes or fails, impacts the second one. So Diana and Paul and Erica will be on that night or that evening to talk about that. And I just want to give you a heads up, it may wind up going a little longer than an hour, but if that is the case, we will record that one as well. On May 9th, Lindsay Carrick will be on to talk about all the workshops and all the education sessions that they're offering and the focus behind those sessions. So May 9th, you'll have that program. And then May 23rd, you'll have the one on the amendments as well. Those will all be recorded. And if there's anything else that we come up with along the way, all that stuff will be recorded and put on the Voice of Service site so that you can go back and listen to it or watch it along the way. So if anybody, isn't able to join us tonight, they can still go back and look at that. We did have, I did meet with Diana after we had the last session on amendments, because we had a couple questions. They did clarify some of that information with us, but we'll be getting that information out as well to everyone.
Yeah. I was gonna
So-
say, Sue, be on the lookout for an updated
Update.
email.
Yep.
With information about some clarifications we did on some of the information about the amendments.
Right. So after that meeting, but it was great because I met with Diane and she's like, oh, these are good catches. So one of the reasons we did that first session was to kind of get the feedback from people and say, well, wait a minute, how does all this work? So I went one step further and said, let's bring on Diana, who's our governance specialist, and Paul, the executive director, to talk about this a little bit more in hopes of preparing ourselves. So when we get to the convention, we're not doing as much, not that education won't happen there, but we can kind of move through things without rushing to get things done, but so that people understand what's going on. So that information will be out as well. So, but yeah, watch the website because they're putting all the updates there. And then there will be 2 workshops. I will tell you, there are 2 workshops on the dues proposal at the convention that I will be hosting on, I believe they're on Thursday.
Probably Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday, yes. The one is right before the Colorado Rockies baseball game. So that's been designated, and there will be one on Friday morning. So there will be those 2 sessions as well. So, and if we need to have one more session here before we go out there to talk about it, I'm happy to do that as well, just to keep the questions answered and help people understand, because it is going to be, Robert's rules are, it's going to be a tough, I don't want to say it's tough, but it's going to be a challenge, I guess is the best way to put it, because there'll be a lot of questions.
It is. And for those of you who know Diana O'Brien, she's very knowledgeable. Next week's her last day. She retires officially. She will stay with us through the convention as a contract worker. Erica Gould, who's taking her place. Erica has been in the Children's Fund and speaks like 15 languages. Erica is just one of those people that you're like, I was standing there at the board meeting and all of a sudden I turned to my left and she's just having a fluent discussion in Chinese with our trustee from Taiwan. And I'm like, where did that voice come from? But so Diana, if you want to send Diana a note between now and next on the 30th, I'm sure she'd love it. If not, you'll see her at convention as well. And you can, I mean, she's been with us more than 40 years. She is the oldest. Her and Frank McDonald started, I believe, when the office opened. There's her email in 1982. So she has been with us a long, long time and is just so knowledgeable. So
she's very well versed in our bylaws and policies, and it as well. We'll have our the parliamentarian that we actually pay will be there as well.
Yeah.
So
So
we
yeah,
actually
Diana can tell you where everything goes.
Right.
So we're gonna miss some of that, but it's gonna be great. So good for her to go enjoy her retirement.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Okay. Any other questions? I think I've caught everything in the note. Mike's gonna check into the emails information.
Yep, I already sent that note off to comms, and I know that some of you have started sending me those emails,
Right.
so I will double check with them and hopefully get that sent tomorrow. If not, I can at least go in and look to make sure you're in one of the first 1,000. If you registered prior to April 1st, you're definitely one of the first 1,000.
Right.
So we'll make sure you get what you need.
Perfect. And then, like I said, we'll get this downloaded and put up onto the website or onto the YouTube site so you can watch it again or listen to it, but we'll get that information out there. So if you have any other questions about the convention, please feel free to email Mike. I put his email in the chat, or call Kiwanis International. They would love to have those questions answered, and the more information we can get out to our members and our participants, the better off things will be along the way. Because it's like you said, it's the travel that, how do you get from the airport? How do you do this? How do you do that? And those are all things that help people, not just yourself, but everybody else as we're moving forward. So we want to make sure that we get all that information out. And, if you'll see someone with Kiwanis clothes on, right, you always know you can ask them, and
there should be someone from the host committee at the airport on, I believe, Tuesday and Wednesday, because everyone should have arrived by the end of Wednesday. If not, you're on your own. But there'll be some people there to help you get to your Ubers or to the train, or just once you obviously clear the secure part of the airport. So there'll be some Kiwanis there to help you.
Perfect. Any other last minute questions, thoughts? All right, so this ought to get us all psyched up. I will tell you, the band, I'm very excited to see the band. I actually run into them quite often in Michigan, as you can imagine. With my job of taking care of a mascot, I will run into the band at weddings, and they're like, I know you from somewhere. And then they tell me, they're like, well, why haven't you guys hired us? I'm like, well, we're working on it. But they argue over who gets to go to Kiwanis, so I'm pretty excited about that. They're great. They're very energetic, and they love to be with us. So I think we got some great workshops. Lindsay's been working on some great information there. Of course, we got, the House of Delegates. Someone asked me how long the House of Delegates was going to be, and I'm like, maybe we got to take bets, right? We could have our own pool along the way about how long we'll be done, but we don't want to
just an over under.
Over under, exactly. We can do over under. So with that, I will thank you, Mike. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate all your input. And if anybody has any other questions, feel free to email me or post them on Facebook or email Mike. We'll get that information out to you. With that, I'm heading off to go run a poker room for Kiwanis tonight from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So if you want me, I could be answering questions all night. If you're looking for some help, I promise I won't wake any of you up. So with that, we'll thank everybody for being here, and we will see you in Denver for sure. But if not, we'll see you next week on Voices of Service. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike and Sue. Appreciate it.
Good night.